Recruiting giveth and recruiting taketh. Let's talk about a major athlete that just committed to the Badgers. On Wisconsin, let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. I'm your host, Ryan Aarings. We do this every single day, so thank you for being every day, or thank you again for taking the time to stop by and just, again, being a part of this incredible community. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off this year. And let's talk about it. The Badgers get a commitment. Jack Sievers, tight end. I actually forgot to play the cannons yesterday because we were talking about a bunch of commits, so we have got to play the cannons. Let's go.
Fire the recruiting cannons. Another one is headed to Madison on Wisconsin.
Okay, a lot we're getting into today. We're talking about Jack Sievers, obviously the tight end that committed from Washington, and we are also talking about Carmelo Reed, who has flipped his commitment from the Badgers to Ole Miss. I am very bittersweet. I'm torn on this one. Zach Bart's basically nailed it. Sievers for Reed within a few hours has me a bit torn. We're going to start with the good news. We're going to start with Jack Sievers. Let's put the film up here. This is definitely an interesting commit. Tight end coming out of Washington, 6'4", 225 pounds, high 3-star. He's an 88 composite. So you're talking about a borderline 4-star player. Borderline 4-star tight end, 6'4", 225, really good speed. Let's start with the positives here, what we like. He's a burner. Like, this is a legitimately fast tight end at 6'4". He's also got long arms. So the frame isn't the prototypical tight end frame where he's 6'5", 6'6", some of those bigger guys Wisconsin's gotten, but the arms are pretty long. The wingspan's pretty long. So you're getting that contested catch radius. You're getting the ability to reach out and make some tough grabs in the red zone. And then again, the speed is legit. Like, I've seen some reported 40 times, 4.5-ish. If you're 4.5-ish as a 6'4" tight end, man, you're talking about a weapon up the seam. You've seen multiple times on film running an end around where they're getting him, and they're just using that speed on the edges as a tight end in high school. Again, not the highest level of competition here, but the speed's legit. That's a carrying tool. That's something we talk about a lot. Carrying tools are important. You know, whether the skill level jumps up or not. If you're running a 4.5 at 6'4", 225, that plays. That plays at any league. So I think the speed plays, you're going to see it on film a bunch. The other thing I really like about Sievers, and again, the film's up if you're watching with us. We got a lot of smart people in this channel as always, so throw your comments about the film there as well. He's a multi-sport guy, and he plays both ways. Right now, you're seeing clips of him on offense, defense. He also plays basketball. I love multi-sport guys because the upside is much higher. They haven't primarily focused on football. There's a bunch of growth opportunity for guys that played basketball, body control, hand-eye coordination. But then once they focus on football, they're going to put on weight. They're going to refine their skill set. And there's a chance this is a 4-star type athlete. And it's just the refinement. It's where he's playing. It's the refinement. But you're getting the 4-star tools. I like multi-sport guys for that reason. And then again, he's a guy, you're watching him on defense with that frame and some of those athletic tools. I wouldn't hate him at defensive end. The difference is at 225, 235, wherever he's at, he would have to put on a lot more weight to play defensive end. I think it'd be a little bit more of a project. At tight end, you could be a move tight end in college football now. A lot of teams have him at 6'4", 235. He's fine weight-wise. If you're going to use him as a move tight end. Now, if you're going to use him to block a lot in the Big Ten, he's going to have to get stronger. He's going to have to get bigger. There's not a lot of clips of him doing that in high school because why would you? Why would you have your 6'4" tight end that runs a 4.5 block? He's going to have to do that in the Big Ten. That's something you're going to have to do at Wisconsin. You're going to have to do for Grimes. So he's going to have to put on some weight, get a little stronger to do that. But other than that, a lot of the physical tools are here. The hands are strong. He reaches out several times to make kind of contested catches. They flip him out wide at times. They put him in line. They use him in a lot of different ways. And again, you're just going to see the speed right up the seam. They're going to hit him several times. It's a good athlete. I really like this pickup. Let's get some of the other guys in here with your comments. Hey, Badger Maniac, I made a live show. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. Michael B says, let's go. Luke P says, Hopkins just flipped to USC. That's not real, is it? Somebody tell me that's not real. That's not real. I can't check because I'm in a show right now. That'd be horrific. I doubt it. I think Luke is just pulling my chain there. Zach, definitely a good friend of the show. I'm thrilled about Sievers. Discord mentioned he could be a DeGora at Cincinnati type player. Yeah, He's an athlete, and you can't have too many athletes in spots like this. This is the type of guy that Iowa would get, right? In a couple years, he would be picked in the second round by the Lions or somewhere. These are the type of athletes you get in that spot that create mismatches. And especially in the Grimes offense, where you're going to use motion, you're using him with motion in the offense in high school where he's coming from. You're going to be able to get him out in space, create some play action and then drag him across the field. This is the type of player that's going to be really difficult for a linebacker to stay with. So you can come out in two tight ends. You can come out in power formations, play action, drag them across, bring Carter Smith or maybe Hopkins, whoever it is, along with them. It's going to create some issues for defenses with his speed in his hands. Again, I wouldn't even hate him at defensive end, but you'd have to put on more weight, so I get it there. Let's see here. Yeah, Andrew, we're going to get to Reed in a second. Disappointing about Reed, but this is College Football Today. Let's see. Come more. Winning Gambler says, I got a feeling Justin is crying in his varsity over Reed right now. We are going to get into Reed. I'm crying in my varsity over Reed, too. I wanted to hit this, and Tyler's kind of hitting it here. UW has had Daniels, Kendricks, Pedersen, Beckham, Fumagalli, Ferguson at tight end. Damn near tight end U outside of Iowa. We need to get back to that. I wanted to hit on that because you look at this period of time that Wisconsin, and Tyler's nailing it. Tyler's a great dude. Love Tyler. And he's nailing it, right? This stretch of Badgers tight ends, and then it all dried up. You basically had Ferguson over the last 5 or 6 years and nothing else. Now, it's too early to know what Grant Steck's going to be. It's too early to know what, Emmett Bork is going to be. Tucker Ashcraft is still growing. But the Badgers had a stretch in the last 4 or 5 years where they've missed on a bunch of tight ends. And we're still kind of looking as a program for who is that next guy? Who's that next standard bearer at tight end? This is a nice piece. A very, very nice athletic piece that I think can create mismatches. You're looking at a creative offensive coordinator like Jeff Grimes. I think this piece fits in there. And he's a player that you beat out some really nice offers for. This was a guy that was actually generating more and more offers as those track times came in. It's a really nice get for Wisconsin. I would be excited about this one. Plan A target. Again, you see the speed if you're watching it with us. He can just outrun people. He can outrun defensive backs at this level. And if that 4 or 5 speed is legit, and I think it is, you're watching it on film. If that's legit, this is a weapon that you take 10 out of 10 times. You put him in the pipeline, let him develop for a year or two if you need to. I think he's going to have to get stronger year one, going to have to adjust to the level of play year one. That's going to be a big jump. Year two, year three, this could be a really interesting weapon for the Badgers. Okay, now let's talk about let's pause this one for a second. Let's get into the bad news. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. Plus, any comments or thoughts y'all have, throw them in the chat, whether it's about Reed, whether it's about Sievers, whether it's about anything else recruiting-wise. Throw those in the chat as well. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a very quick second for our incredible friends of the show over at Monarch Money. Listen, Monarch Money's phenomenal. If you're trying to figure out, somebody told me this once, and I was talking to Rajiv about it. If you managed your money the way you managed your company's money or your company's assets, we would all probably be a little bit better off. I take great care to do a good job for my company, but I don't always manage my money like that. And we need to get into the habit of managing our money like we are our own CEOs. Monarch Money helps you do that. They bring in all your accounts into one spot, like a personal CFO, so we can make a little more progress on our financial goals, so we can retire a little bit earlier, so we can take that trip to Tahiti that we've always wanted to go, so we can go to Lego World if that's what you want to do. Whatever it is, use Monarch Money to help you get a little bit further in your financial goals. Right now, head over to Monarch Money. It's a great time to sign up. Take control of your finances. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at Monarch Money for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, let's talk about Carmelo Reed. Man, this one stings a little bit to me. I'm not gonna come on and play and sugarcoat and say, not a big loss. We don't know what he's going to be, just like we don't know what Jack Sievers is going to be. But this, Carmelo Reed, defensive end, edge that had committed to Wisconsin, 6'7". I think he's a 4-star talent. Just today flipped to Ole Miss. That's a loss because there's just not let's just face it. Wisconsin needs all the 6'7" edge athletes they can get. We don't get enough of those guys. We don't know how any of these players are going to pan out. It could be that Carmelo Reed doesn't pan out, but you need to stack those type of athletes to give yourself the chance that one of them pans out. These are difference maker types at that spot. There's a reason SEC schools are after them. It's a bummer. It's a straight up bummer. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's fine. I guess you can make the argument that if he's going to flip, it's better that he does it early. but that's still a talent. It's still an upside piece that's leaving your class. And now you're going to have to replace it. And again, those are not easy to find. So I did a show with Carmelo Reed earlier this year. I did a show when he committed. And I'm not going to walk back what I said. He was one of my favorite commits in this class. I think he was a really, really nice early eval by the staff. They locked him in. I thought he was solid. Like, I love talking to the guy. He seemed really into it. But this is recruiting. Recruiting is a crazy time, and you're going to lose guys. They're going to have to continue to stack that spot, right? They're going to have to continue to find pieces. You have Leteju coming in from last class. You have Jalen Williams in this grouping. You need more pieces like that. And again, Reed was a piece like that. Now, I really like DJ Ba. I think he's another player that gives you some athleticism up front. You need more. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Matthew Anderson. Grimes is going to love this one. Talking about the tight end commit, I agree. Badger Maniac says, I'm excited to see how tight ends are used. I think that's what you're saying. Are going to be deployed this year. Last year, they were an afterthought. Yeah, and some of that was, they're like, it's kind of the chicken and the egg. Are they an afterthought because Longo's not using them? Or are they an afterthought because we just haven't recruited and developed that position very well? Like, they're going to be an afterthought. Here's the thing. They're going to be an afterthought for Grimes as well if the talent's not there. Until we upgrade that position, they're going to be an afterthought. And I think it's been more that than the coaching. You know, we were lucky. Lucky's the wrong word. They hit on Jake Ferguson, and then they were lucky that he never got hurt. It's been a minute, though, since this staff has developed a tight end like that, has developed a tight end like the pipeline that Tyler Strieber was talking about earlier. They need to get back to that, especially with Grimes, especially with the offense they're going to run. You need to land talent like Jack Sievers. And I think this is a good start to do that. Nathan Hammond says, let's get Janda in here. That's the other tight end that was on the official visit with Sievers. A lot of people thinking he might be a potential commit in the near future. I think that's another nice piece. If you get those two on top of what you did last year, I think Emmett Bork is an interesting piece. I think he's an underrated piece. And then you have Grant Steck in that group. I think you're starting to turn around Nizee Davis coming in as well. There's some really nice young pieces in this tight end room, but now you got to develop them. Now it's going to be on Coach Letton to develop them. That's the other part of this. Guy says, not sure why kids commit if they are not sure. Yeah, that's the $1 million question, man. You know, it's one of those, I'll say this. I changed my mind a lot as an 18-year-old, as a 17-year-old. I mean, I changed my mind on simple stuff like, you know, I'm going to go to the gas station. Nope, never mind. I'm going to the grocery store. Like, I changed my mind all the time on stuff. I joined a sport, then I quit. I understand 17, 18-year-old high school kids who are getting pulled in a lot of directions by professional salesmen changing their pitches. Because let's be honest, that's what every recruiting staff is. Wisconsin's included. They're professional salesmen. And that doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. They're selling the university. They're selling the program. They're selling their vision for a player. But when you're 16, 17, 18, and you're having a lot of people that are really good at selling their product, you know, continuing to pull you in different directions, and now there's money involved and there's social media involved, it's tough. That's why I never really blame a player when they change their mind, because I think I probably would have at that age. I think I probably would have committed and decommitted 2 or 3 times just because I'm kind of impulsive and I wasn't the most mature kid. And it's tough. I'm not going to ignore the fact that it's tough. Does that mean, yeah, I hear you, Guy. That's a long-winded rationale, but I think that's why I understand it. Winning Gambler says, Reed, unfortunately, was the guy with the best shot to help our line. That's a good question. I think so. I'm thinking of DJ Ba is really interesting. I think I liked Reed a little bit more. Again, I'm not going to walk it back. Reed was one of my favorite guys in this class, and he was a guy that was starting to blow up a little bit. I think he's a 4-star. I think you're probably right, Winning Gambler, although I really like DJ Ba. DJ Ba is a really nice piece they added. Obviously, Scott they brought in as well, which I think is maybe more of a depth guy, but another nice body in this room. But yeah, Reed is a big loss. There's no doubt about it. Tyler says there's always a chance you can flip them back. We got Tretch back twice. Yeah, listen, in recruiting, who knows, right? You never know in recruiting. You can always get a guy back. Nathan says room for Blade and Ford. I would trade those 2 for Reed. I would. Mikhail Blade would be a phenomenal get. I would take him. I would put him at the top of that hierarchy. 100% agree. I would go Blade, and then I think I would go Reed and then Ford. But here's the thing: like, you gotta get all of them, or not all of them, but you got to get as many of them as you can. It's not like a trade one for the others. And I hear you, Nathan. Like, I would take Mikal Blade. That'd be a tremendous get. But the more you get, the better. You know, the more that you can stack, the better, because that's just not a spot Wisconsin has traditionally a ton of depth in. So I don't want to trade. I want Blade and Reed. You know, I want Ford and Reed. So it is a bit of a shot when you lose a guy. You do lose them early. So you have a ton of time in this class. They're going to continue adding. They're probably going to flip someone else at some point during the season. I am never going to lose my mind over a prospect in any spot at any point, because no prospect makes or breaks a program. I'm not trying to say that, but he's a loss. Like, Reed is definitely a guy we were excited about. So we're not going to pretend, or I'm not going to pretend like it's not a big deal when you lose a guy like that. Let's see. Yeah, Badger Pat, 100%. Kids decommit because they're kids. And let's be honest, guys. Everybody in the chat, adults change their mind all the time. How many jobs have some of y'all had where you took a job and then you didn't love it and you shifted to another one? I mean, I've done that. I had a job once. I worked there for like 2 days because it turns out that wasn't a great fit for me. So, like, it just is what it is. Adults change their minds too, and that's why I just never hold it against people. I think if you want to say something like maybe you shouldn't commit then if you're not sure, like maybe play your visits out. And Tyler Strieber said something similar to that. But sometimes you can be really into it and then the next visit blows you away and it's unexpected. It's like sometimes something new comes up and you didn't see it coming. And it doesn't mean you were disingenuous on the first visit. It just means something new came up and changed the variables. And that could be a lot of things. It could be a relationship. It could be these days, it could be NIL related. It could be a coach coming in that hadn't talked to you before. Some school found film that you didn't know was interested. A lot of variables can change. So again, I always hesitate to hold it against players too much. Let's see. Yeah, Rick said, I think some kids commit to lock up a spot. There aren't really any consequences and then backing out. That 100% happens. I mean, that 100% happens. But again, I would zoom out a little bit. And Rick, I realize you're not even saying that's a negative thing, but a lot of people commit to a safety school while still hoping their primary school comes out, right? A lot of people will take a safety job while still applying for their dream job. Again, this to me just mirrors real life. This is what happens in real life for a lot of people. It's just the magnifying glass is so much brighter for 17, 18-year-old kids that have 17 Division I teams after them. It's just everything's magnified. But again, I think this just mirrors real life to some degree. All right, we're going to wrap it up there on Wisconsin. Thank you all for tuning in. I really do appreciate you. Again, this being able to do these things really quick is like such a massive honor for me. It's humbling to be able to host these shows and have people come in and chop it up. And I'm never the smartest person in the room, right? The people in the chat are always the smartest people in the room. And that's what this is all about. How can we make it better to be a Badgers fan? So I appreciate everybody coming in, talking, recruiting with me. Sievers commits. I really like that get. I think that's a big time get for Wisconsin. Really great athlete at tight end. And then Reed leaves, and that's a loss. And that is recruiting these days. We will wrap it up there. Again, on Wisconsin, appreciate y'all so much. Another really good show coming out tomorrow, actually. I just recorded with Brian Smith. We went through the entire official visit, all the people that committed. Brian had some great feedback on the linebackers, the defensive linemen, Hopkins, Latimer. A lot of good stuff in that show. Looking forward to tomorrow on Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk to you later.